Hello kids, welcome to another episode of GLEN YAPS. We are not in my recording studio for this section. I'm going to do a little video about when you do a fill-in for a band, or how I do a fill-in for a band. Getting the information at the start, what kind of material, that kind of thing. How you make your charts, learn the songs, how I do it, and basically making the charts to get you through the gig, because sometimes you don't get a rehearsal, it's cold turkey, you get a call, you show up on a certain date, and you have to kind of just go with it from the first song onwards with no band practice or anything. So, and I don't mind that, but I really spend a lot of time making charts. You're never really flawless through one of those fill-ins, but at least for me, I have a roadmap to get through it. With some bands, they have their own endings, they might even have their own beginnings to cover songs or originals. They vary. So you have to at least try and get some info on that and chart things out. So anyways, what I normally do is talk to the band, find out when the gig is, look at the calendar and see if it's like, holy shit, this is like in 3 days, what am I going to do? Or you got some time to do it. But I always do my fill-ins the same way. It's way too much work. Most people don't do it like this, but I do it, and the main reason why I do it is I end up having a collection of songs that maybe I've never had before in my own music collection. Secondly, I have music charts that will always be in my collection, so if I do a fill-in with another band and they happen to have this song on the list, I go to my chart files, throw it in to that current gig I'm filling in with, and the chart's there. I don't have to do another chart. So that's a scoop. So this is what I do. I talk to the band, definitely find out the songs they're doing. Most bands will do, to keep it safe, they'll do the same sets both nights. It's hard to fill in for a band just winging the stuff from song to song when they don't give you any idea. That's kind of a suicide mission, because unless the band is really basic and you can fake your way through it, which I've done, but I'd like to have more information. This band that I filled in for this past weekend, they're called Bourbon Blue. They are a sequenced band, so that means that through the entire night you're following a click track in your ear, and they have sequences for keyboards and sound effects and percussion and stuff. Not the drums though, but they might have synthetic drums, because some music has synthetic drums that start a song and then the real drums kick in. So, but that kind of thing. So you can't really wing that. You have to kind of know the mathematics of the song so you don't get lost. One of the things I forgot to mention is when you're doing a fill-in with a band that's doing sequencing, it's important to ask what the in-ear monitoring system is. Most sequence bands these days use in-ears. In the old days, when I first started doing it, we used headphones because in-ears were not really around. So you always had headphones on. What I like to know in the sequencing thing is what they use, what their electronics are, what is in the mix going into my in-ears. For me specifically, I like having things spread click track balanced to the right, everything else to the left. I want the click track totally isolated. the band that I filled in Bourbon Blue, they have it set that I think with their normal, when the regular drummer's playing, they have it that he has bass in one track, click in another track, and all keyboards in the third track. I basically had it just to make things simpler. All the music in the one track and the click in the other, just like I normally would. I use a small mixer. Normally it's a Touch Mix QSC Touch Mix 16 mixer. In this case, we kept it real simple. I just went with a small little Mackie board and ran the 2 channels in there, and it also gave me vocals and stuff. The problem I have though is I want full control of what's going into my hearing. I always hated having my hearing in the hands of others. I've had bad things happen that way, and you can definitely damage your hearing if you're not careful. So I like to be in full control. So having my own mixer, I can, while I'm drumming, I can raise or lower the levels, EQ it to get high end out that's harsh or whatever. So that's a scoop. So always make sure you know what you're getting into there. I also have the band take a picture of the unit they're using, just so I can research it myself. You never know when you might be the one operating that, because the guy that you're filling in for was the one setting it up. So it's always good to have some kind of understanding of the gear the band is using. So that's basically it. I always bring my own in-ears to the gig, my own mixer. In this case, I normally would run my drums all in the mixer, but this time I just ran those two tracks for the sequencing and left my drums acoustically. So this is what I do. I get the songs from the person in the band. In this case, they divided everything up into 3 sets with quite a few songs in each set. They play a long time, very short breaks. So once you have the songs, it's up to me I can either learn them on YouTube, which is free. You can just keep, stop, play, whatever, to write your charts out. I prefer to either record the songs off of YouTube, just like we used to do back when I was a kid in the 70s, just playing music. We would record the song off the radio and learn it. No different. I just use computer software to record the song, or I download the songs. So it's just one of those deals. But you also have to make sure you know what version the band is doing, because I've got caught a few times where I may know the original version, but this band does the cover version, and they are different. Even though they're the same song, things are different between the 2 versions. So you always have to communicate on which version of the song, and a lot of the bands will just send you a link to the YouTube video. This is what we do, and so you make note of that so you're not lost. But I've had to do that a few times. So I make a folder on my computer upstairs. We're not my recording studio where I normally do my work. I do all this stuff upstairs. So I usually have, so in this case, the fill-ins was with the band Bourbon Blue. So I'm going to show you what we do here. I'm going to move my camera over, and hopefully you can see it. I'll try and make this as painless as possible. Okay, so I got Bourbon Blue. So in here, I've done a fill-in or 2 with this band before. So what I normally do is I have my charts. My final charts are usually in PDF form, and I have my raw working charts. Some of the sequences, the band will give me the sequences just to get used to them. Unfortunately, that was the last fill-in this past weekend. That didn't happen. It was just things didn't work out right for that. So I basically went in not knowing quite a few songs, or what the chart, not the songs, but what the sequences were going to be like, or the click track patterns. That's a huge thing. So here's the songs, and then, like I say, I've done a fill-in or two with them before. So basically, titled the songs for 225 for which was January, and then I got their sets. So I'll just give you a rough idea. They send me. I just tell them to snap a picture with their phone, send it over, just so I know. So this is what they had. So 3 sets. So I just go through the songs, and ones I know and already have charts for, I just throw them in a folder, and we're ready to go. But most of the ones that I have are already logged onto my iPad that I use live beside my drum set. So anyways, this is how we do the charts. I'm just going to bring up a raw chart just to break this down really quick. I use lyric sheets for most of my charts, unless I can find a drum transcription that's free online. I'm not buying anything. Years ago, the drum community used to share drum transcriptions for free. It was a great way to exchange your talents at describing or transcribing drum parts. But in recent years, corporations have taken over, and greed, and now you have to pay for almost everything to do with drum charts. And most of the drummers won't do that, because some of these charts are inconsistent in price. Like, they can go from $250 to $20-something just for the same song, depending on who you get it from. Anyway, so let's go with well, they were doing a Simple Minds tune, and this is the chart that I made for it. Okay, and hopefully you can see that. I'm going to make sure with the camera angle here. So I'll use words, just even sounds, and write them out to make simple beats for me. That takes 5 seconds to do, rather than doing notation. But this notation here, if I'm doing this notation, I will either find a chart for it and scan a small section of it and insert it if it's the main groove. Or what I'll do is I'll take my electronic drum set, plug it into my laptop, and I have software on a laptop that will transcribe what I drum. So if I know the part to this song and I need a transcription just for memory's sake, for down the road, I'll insert it. So basically, the software I use, and there's a bunch of software that can do it, like Cakewalk or Sonar, which are basically similar things. But there's other, Finale is another one I use. But they will transcribe what you play, and you can just copy and paste the bar that you played into your regular music chart. In this case, this one I believe was from a chart, and I didn't want the whole chart, because sometimes I do backup vocals and I need the lyrics. So anyway, so that's beginning of the song, and basically I write the typical thing: the intro, the verse, a snare fill. It can be a random snare fill. You're doing a fill-in, and it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, because you're on a time restriction, right? Chorus, snare. Now this is really basic. Like I say, in here, like for this part right here, I just did a verbal thing, which is real easy to do, and it stands out bright enough that I can see it. This is a middle bridge section. And then where the drumming might do a lot of shots, this bridge is basically in this one the same as this. The intro and this bridge are exactly the same. There are lots of shots in here. And anyways, so that's the scoop. Then we have, there's a part here where there's a shot. Now this chart has been updated in my onstage iPad. As I go over the song with the chart, I make edits to it. The edits aren't done on here. They're done on my iPad version because I kind of do them at the time. And then I save them in special folders on my iPad. I do have a backup of the iPad stuff also on basically external hard drives. Always stockpile everything so I don't lose it. So we have a shot here. Then there's tom hits. You can see the tom hits are labeled, so it'd be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and tom hits in there, and they're basically the same here. Now there's a whole little cool drum fill thing in this particular song, so I transcribed it out like this. It's always good to put your beats per minute on every one of your charts as well, because you might be with a band doing this song that isn't keyboard sequenced and you're the main pulse and speed, so you have to set it. So I'll go back up, and I normally have it right up here in the top, so you can see up here. Yeah, so anyways, so this is the tricky part for the song. So even before we hit the song on stage, I can briefly look at it, get my mind around it, understand it. If you know drum notation, there's open hi-hat shots and stuff. Now you could still blow this fill, but at least you know roughly how it goes. So even if you don't do it note for note, you at least know that that drum fill section lasts for a couple of bars. When I did Fridays, I did it perfect. When I did it Saturdays, I kind of flubbed it a smidge, and it was partially this and partially my own. Then you got basic instructions to go to the ride cymbal through this, through the outro of the song. You're on your own for the ending, so you basically have to watch the band you're filling in with on stage. They'll usually give you cues. And if not, you can basically ask them to give you cues, because, you know, especially with sequencing, you really want to know where you're going. Because if you stop short and the sequence still goes, I mean, it does happen. It happens to me, you know, from time to time. It's just, you know, part of the filling thing. So let's go with one that's just a drum chart, which would be in here, I believe. No, one more folder over. So this one I found online by No Doubt. Again, this is the sheet music on my iPad. I will show you after this section the edits that I put on this. Because just seeing the word vocal here doesn't tell you too much. It doesn't tell you where the chorus is, doesn't tell you a whole bunch of stuff. And I like to highlight things like where this might be a major accent in the song. Yeah, so you really have to go over your stuff. There's another drum fill. You really have to go over your stuff and mark road signs. I call them road signs, so you know where you're going. It's easy to read this chart at home while you're practicing in the basement, but when you're on stage, never having played it with the band before, and they're playing the sequencing, you need as many cues, written cues, as possible. At least I do. So, so that's basically it. I mean, there are some tricky ones. Let's see if I can find one that's, yeah, Black Eyed Peas. So again, I write lots of cues where stops and starts. I use colors because they're fantastic on stage when you see them, unless you're colorblind, then it won't help you. So, as you can see, real simple chart there. Let's see. It should be one more that I was going to look at. This one, I think. Yeah, this one has shots. So it's Black Eyed Peas. Let's get it started. We got the BPMs up at the top here. Got a straight beat. I also find out if the bass comes in at certain spots. Most of these songs are pretty simple. Straight beat, I found out that it's not. There's actually a double kick at the beginning, but I mean straight beat would work. These are the shots for the song. This song has a lot of shots in it, as you can see scrolling down. Now I don't have to write the notation, but the problem is I'm writing in a text editor here, and it doesn't have musical notes. So I can use symbols instead, like a K for kick and an S for snare, which I do. Or like I say, I can paste in actual drum transcription, but that's just an extra step. So that's a scoop for this. So basically, when I'm learning the songs, I'm not going to play the song, but let's get it started. This thing, if I was to play from the beginning, like the record, I would be wrong because the band cuts off the intro a bit. So we talk about that ahead of time. And I chart it that way. I'll make the chart most of the time beginning to end perfect from the record, but if they cut something off, I will normally take it out of the main chart that I made and relabel it to edit 1 or edit 2 or edit 3. So it works for me. This is time consuming, but I'm looking at the big picture down the road. I'll have the chart for whenever I need it. I love doing it. It's fun. Memory wise, I don't have to memorize songs from beginning to end perfectly, and because I'm older, my memory is not as good, so I need a little help. And so this is why I do it. It's just to help my comfort zone. So when I go on stage, I at least have a roadmap that I can look at, and at least with the roadmap, if I'm in trouble, I can get back out. You know, if I miss something with a sequence or whatever, I have a way out. So, and I don't want to ruin the night for the band. And this band usually has a lot of dancers, and you definitely don't want to screw things up. It happens. I did a few boo-boos on the weekend, but nothing major, just simple recovery. But you have to definitely keep your ears open with the sequence tracks, what you're playing, what the band's playing, and you have to make sure you're with that click and that sequence. I found the band they normally play all the songs like the record, beats per minute. So, but I've been in bands where I've done these songs at different tempos. So I found a couple of songs I was chasing it a bit because your psyche has it the way you just did it with other bands who might change the tempo, and you know, you might go back to, you go into this band thinking it's the same, and all of a sudden the click track's on, and you're going, holy smokes, this is like a few beats faster than what I was doing. So you have to get your head around that, because they can ruin your groove a bit. So I've had a few that were like that. The other thing I forgot to mention is when I'm learning songs, I like to take sections that give me trouble and make a, say if it's a drum fill, a really fast drum fill with a lot of stuff in it. I like to take it, that section, record it in software in the computer again, and then slow it down and make a copy of the slowed down version. So I have the regular speed version, a slowed down version, and what I do is make 2 little MP3 files, one of each, so I can practice it at speed. I usually put a little bit of the song before and after that, maybe a couple bars, but my main focus is that drum fill section, and then the slowed down one, so you can practice to it and get it right, the fast one, and back up to speed. And I did that with a few songs for this band, and I log it into my list of songs of the band I'm playing with. And the bonus to that is that you won't get surprised. Obviously, even if you screw up the fill, you at least have the vibe of it from practicing it in a looped rotation in your basement. It's like, okay, I know what to expect. Can I do it right or not? So it's kind of tricky, but at least you have a reference point. So that's how I do it. Again, lots of work, but that's basically what I like to do. Also, if you get asked to do a fill-in and you've never played to a click track or a sequence before, I would basically say not to do it, because if you don't know what's going to be coming at you, it's a great unknown if you've not played with a band with sequencing, or at least played to a click track. I know a lot of musicians that never played a click tracks, and when they do, it's very alien to them, and they struggle and they get frustrated with it. So I would recommend, if when you're asking the questions of at the start of being that fill-in, if you've got no experience at it, don't do it live off the cuff with somebody you're filling in with, because it could lead to be one of your biggest disasters. So it's something you got to work with. You know, you got to practice it a little bit. There are some out there that could probably do it, but you know, you have to think of the band. You definitely don't want to lead them astray. Okay, on to the next section. Okay, part 2 in my studio. This is where I kind of fine-tune the stuff. It's already entered into my iPad, and now I practice with it usually I practice with it with the songs on a USB stick, thumb drive, whatever. It's in my electronic drum machine module. I have my iPad beside me, and I'll go through these songs and fine-tune the charts. Like I say, I've got 3 sets of material that I had to learn for this gig, and it's roughly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14, 15, 16, 17 to 18 songs a set. Sometimes they play a little bit longer, and they have some extras. So we're going to turn this around. Now I have the 3 sets that I did on the weekends in here that I can bring up individually. So when I'm on stage, I don't have to be looking through papers and stuff. I just rotate it electronically. So I'm just going to move this over. Hopefully you can see it. And we'll tilt this down. So there we go. That's that. I'm using a software that's Windows based called Song Repertoire. All my computers now are PCs. So Bourbon is the Bourbon Blue is the band. Usually if I'm filling in, this is where they go and I can just log in. So there's the songs, nice alphabetical order. This is basically all the songs that they do from for the last year and a half to 2 years, I think. There might be a few not on here but I've charted them because I did a fill-in with them in 24. So anyways, 2024. So one of the songs upstairs was Simple Minds. Now I have the full drum chart. I could follow that, right? That was free online. But, you know, not a lot of road signs. When you're on stage, you know, scramble through this. You almost have to edit this chart quite a bit to visually see the cues if you've never heard the song before. Like I say, sometimes it's like you grab a chart, you go, and you've never played the song before. So, but anyways, I have the full chart, but for me, it was easier to do this. So what I have here, you can see I've marked red X's. Those are where these crashes come in. So all I have to do is look at the black notes and know that the red X's are crashes. It's just easier for me to see. And like I showed you upstairs, there's a count at the start of this, 1, 2, 3, and then there's a shot. Normally with the sequences on basic songs, this band has a 4 count for me, and then I give the band a 4 count. But I got stiffed on a couple of songs where the count was longer, running under a keyboard sequence, which it probably shouldn't have. You could have just cut it out because the keyboards are sequenced anyways. It's not like anybody's playing at that point. But anyways, it caught me off guard. So there I've added highlights in here, more highlights. There's a snare shot here, and really not too much different. So that one's pretty straightforward. That was the other one. I think it was Hella Good. Now we know we have that chart. That song is pretty basic, but I added where the verse and the chorus and the verse are in the song. Also highlighted where a drum feature is. Another drum feature. Music break. That might be a lead or whatever. Repeat bars here. I just like to highlight them to make them pop a little bit. This is basically keyboards and kick drum only. I basically keep hi-hat going to help the band, because the band kind of listens from the main PA out front. They don't really have this keyboard stuff in the monitors. At least I think that's how they do it. And then the last is like keys only. So like a basic chart. Hopefully you can see that without glare, because I'm praying that I might even just kind of move it this way. I have a lot of lighting down here, so just never know. So I'm trying to think if there was something else that was really funky. Let's see. What was that other one? The Black Eyed Peas. Yeah. Oops. Yeah, I didn't really do too much to this. There's a few things. Added a simple. This is the one where I said it was straight beat, but there was actually 2 kicks at the start of each line, so I just did it really simple like that. Yeah, that's basically kick, kick, snare, kick, snare. The hi-hat is basically pretty straight. So, what other ones? Their charts, I mean, some of their songs they have a lot in them. In the sense of lots of parts, or they go long. But some of these songs we didn't even actually do. Like we had the Bangles here. I can't remember how bad that chart was. So it's pretty involved. The same drum beat is pretty much, yeah. I mean, it's pretty much a simple beat, but I think I added it. Yeah, I found a chart that had the beat. In case I go blank, there's a simple chart that just the main beat, because it basically goes through the whole song. But it's, I mean, you could probably play it straight and it would still work. So that's it. And then when I had to go to the set list for the next song, some of these songs I don't need charts for, but like Little Sister, I've played the Dwight Yoakam version. It's originally Elvis, I believe. I've done the Dwight Yoakam version for 30 years. So when I first filled in for them, that's the one I assumed they were doing. They ended up doing the Elvis. Now, there isn't too much difference overall, but the intro to Dwight's is different than the Elvis. There's a lead break in the Dwight version that I know, and so there are subtle differences that will screw you up if you're playing to a sequence track. Okay, so that's the communication, we kind of have to get across. Folsom Prison Blues, a lot of people do their own versions of that. This band does the original version. So, I mean, some of these songs I've never played to a click before. Like I say, there are other two sets like Ballroom Blitz and stuff. I've never played to a click drum or click track to, so that was a bit tricky, but it worked out fine. So that's the scoop. I'll turn this around. Yeah, so basically that's how I prepare. The electronic drum set is perfect for learning songs. Oops. Perfect for learning songs for a fill-in. I put the thumb drive in. The songs come up on the screen. I just plow through them. I have my charts beside me. So if I have time to go through the songs, I will. If I don't, then it's cold turkey on stage, and I'm depending on my instructions on my charts. If the band is really super complicated, there's no way you're going to get through it without doing a thorough learning session on the song. But top 40 stuff, you can usually kind of get through it. But there are some, like Faith by George Michael, they did. There's so much going in that song, and it was not, the original drumming was not done by a drummer. It was actually George Michael programming all the stuff. So there's stuff on there that's just not normal that a drummer would do. And a little bit tricky to do on a time limit. So if you accent with the guitar, with cross stick in there, it actually gives it a half decent feel to survive the gig anyways. So that's how I do it. I know it's a lot of work, but it's how I've been doing it for decades. And when we were used to do it on paper before computers, we would type it out, then use highlighters, and then red magic markers. So it would be in your book, and it would look exactly like that. In fact, all the charts that I made through my years since I started in 1977, any chart that I could find that I had, I took photos of and converted them to digital. So a lot of them in here are some of my old charts from songs I learned back at that time frame throughout. And that way I don't have binders and binders and binders of all these charts anymore. Everything's digital, and I back it up on external hard drives in my recording studio, because there's quite a few external hard drives in a recording studio. And I just have a little pocket of old charts. So anyways, hope that helps a little bit. That's how I do it. Yeah, some people are probably going, "You're nuts," I know, but I love archiving stuff. I don't want to have to relearn the song 7 times in 40 years to play it. I want to just be able to have the chart and get a rough idea of it. And if it's really complicated, then sure, the chart will help, and I have to learn it note for note for a fill-in. This is my fill-in thing. If it's my own band, I learn the songs pretty much note for note, and then after I get tired of it, I might add some of my own things and stuff. But if I'm doing a fill-in, it's like your brain can only handle so much, at least mine anyways. So thanks for watching.